Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It is Thursday, October 22nd, and I have your top stories from WKYC.com and the WKYC app. Thank you so much for choosing to be here to get filled in on what is impacting you here in Northeast Ohio. And I will tell you what, I know you hear a lot when you're listening to the news that there are a lot of big stories today, but there are a lot of big stories today, and I am not exaggerating. We are going to get right into all of the things that have happened over the course of the last couple of hours. Governor Mike DeWine started his press conference today with a warning to Ohioans. He said this: "For my fellow Ohioans who have felt that until now this virus really did not impact their life or their family and that they would react when it was really serious, I say to them, that time is now." And to press that point, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie joined Governor Mike DeWine's press conference today. Chris Christie, of course, was recently hospitalized with COVID-19. Here's what Chris Christie had to say. He said, "I thought I was safe, and I was wrong." He said that he had been wearing a mask for the first roughly 7 months of the COVID-19 pandemic, but he had gotten a little lax with that as people continue to have COVID-19 fatigue. But he said now is not the time to do that. He said, as tired as you are of keeping that mask on, you will take those days in a heartbeat as compared to getting this disease. He said, "I want to tell the people of Ohio what the governor is asking you to do is the right thing to do." He went on to say, "There's no place to hide from this virus if you're not going to take the common sense steps that the CDC and the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, have recommended to us. Don't let your guard down. It's not worth it." And in the press conference today, Governor Mike DeWine hammered home some numbers that prove that point. 38 of the 88 counties in Ohio are now at level 3, which means very high exposure and spread of COVID-19. And people are supposed to limit their activities as much as possible. And Cuyahoga County is now being watched for potentially moving to level 4. There are a total of 11 Northeast Ohio counties that are now at level 3. Those are Lake, Cuyahoga, Lorain, Geauga, Mahoning, Portage, Summit, Stark, Wayne, Richland, and Tuscarawas. Now, as we get those new numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health, unfortunately, today is another record-setting day for new daily reported cases of COVID-19, and hospitalizations are also up again. In the last 24 hours, we've seen 2,425 new daily reported cases of COVID-19. That brings our total now to over 190,000 here in the state of Ohio. And our 7-day average testing positivity rate is now at 5%. So we are at that World Health Organization recommended threshold. This number keeps creeping up, and our latest daily positive testing rate is 6%. So on the daily rate, we are over that World Health Organization recommended threshold. There have been 12 reported deaths in the last 24 hours. That is down from yesterday when there were 66 reported. Now, we do see this number bounce around a lot, and there is a lag in that data coming in to the Ohio Department of Health. But the data that is more real-time is the new hospitalizations data. And in the last 24 hours, we've seen 158 new hospitalizations for COVID-19 here in Ohio. And the total number of people hospitalized is now at 1,293. That's up from yesterday. 41 more people hospitalized today than we saw on Wednesday. There are 345 people in the ICU, so that's about 27% of all the people hospitalized for COVID-19 have to be treated in the ICU, with 25 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. Now, big news also when we look at the national and global COVID-19 numbers. These come from Johns Hopkins University, and there has been a massive global increase in cases in the last 24 hours. There's been about 500,000 new reported global cases of COVID-19 in one day. And yes, the U.S. is still holding steady with that increase. The U.S. has about 4% of the global population. We are holding steady at 20% of the global cases and 20% of the global deaths. We'll start with the global numbers. In the latest data from Johns Hopkins University now shows that there are 41,477,300 global cases of COVID-19. Now, on Monday, we had just hit 40 million cases of COVID-19. That's on Monday. So just about 1.5 million cases of COVID-19 reported globally since Monday morning. The total number of deaths globally is now at 1,134,090. Now to look at the U.S. numbers, the total number of U.S. cases is 8,368,520. So if you look at what's happened since Monday, there's been about 200,000 new cases in the past 3 days. So since Monday afternoon in the U.S., the total number of deaths in the U.S. is now 222,577. So that's about 2,700 new deaths in the past 3 days since Monday afternoon. And again, the U.S. holding steady with 20% of those cases and 20% of those deaths at the global level. Now, earlier today, we had some update about how schools are handling the COVID-19 surge. Shaker Heights School District Board called an emergency meeting last night after indefinitely postponing plans to go fully in person next week. So that is off the table right now in Shaker Heights School District for the time being. However, Orange City School District decided not to focus solely on the color-coded guidance from the Board of Health, and they are still hoping as of earlier today, to make a transition to a hybrid model of online and in-person learning as soon as next week. And of course, not just impacting the lower level schools, also impacting higher education. Kent State University has quarantined hundreds of students in recent weeks. It will be interesting to see how this new information about the level 3 counties here in the state of Ohio impacts these school districts and what they plan to do moving forward. Now we have another update in the case of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. A judge in the case has upheld 8 of the 9 charges related to the killing of George Floyd, which happened over the summer in May, on May 25th. The third-degree murder charge against Derek Chauvin has been dropped. However, the higher second-degree murder charge remains. Governor Tim Walz has activated the Minnesota National Guard in the greater metropolitan area as a precautionary step because of this ruling. He said he wanted to remind Minnesotans that today's ruling is a positive step in the path towards justice for George Floyd as that trial continued to move forward in the process. Now, Chauvin is also charged with second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. He was captured, of course, on video with his knee on Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes, and 3 other former officers involved are charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Now, all 3 of those former officers, had requested to have those charges dismissed, but the judge ruled to deny that request, so those charges are still pending against those officers. Now, second-degree murder is the traditional murder charge that's been filed against Chauvin. In these types of cases with police and deadly force, it's typically second-degree manslaughter that the officer is charged with. Now, third-degree murder is rarely used in Minnesota. So according to Minnesota law, murder in the third degree is committed when there isn't intent or premeditation, but a killing still occurs. A classic example of this would be if a person fires a gun into a crowd or through a crowded sidewalk where no specific person is targeted and someone ends up dying. So that charge has been dropped against Chauvin. Important developments, of course, will be continuing to follow this as it moves forward through the court system. Now, an update on an investigation that people have been following for a long time here in Ohio. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation has finished its investigation into the 2016 death of Lafayette Township trustee Bryon Macron, and they have concluded that there is no evidence that anybody else was involved in that case. The Medina County Prosecutor's Office confirmed today that the investigation would be closing and that there was no new evidence that other people were involved. Now, this was just before Christmas in 2016 when a maintenance worker found blood in Macron's office and seemed to report that there were signs of a fight. Then Macron's SUV was found turned up near Chippewa Lake, just a few miles away, and there was no sign of him until February of 2017 when a kayaker found his body floating in the water. But today the prosecutor said that the investigation would be closed, and that's the end of that investigation, which first began in 2018. Now, here's an interesting update from what we were talking about President Donald Trump being upset with the CBS 60 Minutes interview with Lesley Stahl. He did go ahead and tweet out that interview today. He posted the footage, the raw footage of that interview on Facebook and shared that link on Twitter today. And he said, "Look at the bias, hatred, and rudeness on behalf of 60 Minutes and CBS." And then he went on to say that he believes tonight's anchor, who will be moderating the debate, that is NBC's Kristen Welker, he believes that she will be far worse. Now, the video is about 38 minutes long, and in the video, you can see Stahl pressing the president on the pandemic, on his slipping support with suburban women, and other issues, including the economy. Now, after the president went and made this unprecedented move and tweeted this, CBS came out with a statement that said the White House's unprecedented decision to disregard their agreement with CBS News and release that footage will not be stopping 60 Minutes from going ahead with the production as planned. So we will still see that special airing at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. 60 Minutes went on to say that CBS is a widely respected network and is known for hallmark fairness and deep reporting and informative context provided to its viewers. Also defending Lesley Stahl, CBS said few journalists have the presidential interview experience Lesley Stahl has delivered over her decades as one of the premier correspondents in America, and they do look forward to bringing that interview, which will be Lesley Stahl's third interview with the president, to people on Sunday, which will also include a conversation with Vice President Mike Pence, and there will also be interviews with Democratic presidential candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden, as well as current Senator and Vice Presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Those interviews taking place with Norah O'Donnell. So, pretty shocking news there. I know that the president said that he was going to send out that interview, but as CBS said, that is unprecedented. Now, if you are stressed out about the election, here is something you might want to know about. Babe Wine has come out with something to take the edge off. They have what they are calling their election night survival kit. Here's what it includes. It comes with a stress ball to squeeze so that you don't go off on Twitter. That is good life advice. Also, tissues in case things get emotional and you just need to cry a little bit, and a pillow to scream into. Now, the best part, though, is it comes with a bottle of Babe's Pulls Closing, Bottles Opening red wine, and a 4-pack of Babe Rosé for your election night watch party. Those all sound like pretty necessary tools for the next 12 days, if you ask me, no matter what party you support. We've got more about that on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Here's your reminder tonight. The second and final presidential debate is happening at 9 p.m. You can watch that on 3 News. You can watch it on WKYC.com, the WKYC app, and also our Facebook and YouTube pages. Also, so that'll be at 9 p.m. from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Also, before that, I'll be coming back to you with a special edition of 3 News Now with what to watch for in that presidential debate. And after the debate, you can check in with another special episode of 3 News Now with Dave Dino DiNatale, who'll be recapping what happened, giving you some important fact checks and other context about tonight's debate. That's it for your afternoon 3 News Now update. I'll see you next on What's New at 5 p.m. with your trending stories, and then I'll be back tonight with a preview of what to watch for in the second and final presidential debate. Everyone stay safe and be well, and I will see you back here shortly. I'm Stephanie Haney.